Stephanie here with another Bibliophiles video, and today I'm bringing you what I read in the month of January and what I read in the month of February. So like I said in the introduction, this will be what I read in the month of January and the month of February. And finally, I can actually start doing videos again because I'm feeling better. Thank God. That was ridiculous how long I was sick. My voice sometimes cracks a little bit, but as far as how I feel much better. And I have bangs. Let me know what you think. Comments below. For the month of January and the month of February, I read a grand total of 10 books. 6 books in the month of January and 4 books in the month of February. And as far as like page count goes, to me I read a lot more in the month of February because I actually started most of the books, but in the month of January I read I didn't start most of my books in the month of January. I was finishing up books in the month of January. So let me give you some little bit of numbers going on, and then we'll get into what I read. In the beginning part of January, I read a grand total of 6 books, which added up to roughly about 1,430 pages. In February, I read 4 books, which, as far as page number goes, I read 1,189. See what I mean about as far as the page number goes? 4 books and you read that many pages? I think I was pretty proud of myself. I really was. If I added everything all together correctly and if everything coincides with what I read on Goodreads, that was a grand total of 2,619 pages total. I was pretty impressed with that. So, now that we kind of did a little number thing with ya, let's get into the actual stuff that I read. So the first one that I read in the month of January was actually a graphic novel, or a comic book, however you want to say it. I believe this would be considered a comic book instead of a novel, since it is only 28 pages. Being the shortest one that I read, I loved it. I figured I'd give myself something easy to read at the beginning, that way I could kind of go into the rest of the year working harder on stuff. But this was the first one. It is Dishonored number 4, and it was a grand total of 28 pages. I gave it a 5-star rating because, one, the artwork is absolutely exquisite. The storyline is very good. I actually have played a lot of the Dishonored games. I haven't played the second one, but I have played many times through the first Dishonored story. The game on the Xbox 360, which I am a hardcore Xbox Microsoft fan as far as gaming consoles go. I might have started World War 3. Let me know in the comments down below what gaming console you like, and we can kind of compare and contrast what we both like. And then the second book that I read in the month of January was Dealing with Dragons by Patricia Red. I think that's how you say it. This I would consider it kind of a middle grade book because it doesn't read like an adult book. If it is, it's a very comedic adult book, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars because I enjoyed it that much. And then the third book that I read, and that was The Reborn King by Brian D. Anderson. That is the final book in the Godling Chronicles, and I will have to say, I was very sad that it actually ended, so I gave it a 5 stars, and I gave it a 5 stars as far as the overall story goes. I absolutely adored it. I don't have a physical copy of it because where I'm at, to actually try to get a physical copy, it costs like $35 per book, and that is a used copy as well. So I decided to just listen to it on Audible. Very much enjoyed it. The guy that narrated it did a phenomenal job. He made the story. The story itself was great, but he made the story. So I gave it a 5-star rating and a 5-star overall as far as the series go. And then the fourth book that I read in the month of January was The Burning Sky by Sherry Thomas. As you can see, I had a lot of feelings going going on there. My mom got me for Christmas these emoji sticky note type things, and I will be giving a full review of this because there was a lot of feelings going on in this book. So, give you a description of that later, but that was the fourth one. I gave this one about a 4 star, 4.5 star. Since it is the beginning of a series, it kind of ended funny, but it was a very good book. There was a lot of things I disliked about it, but there was much more that I loved about it. So I will give you a full synopsis later. And then the fifth book that I read, I do not have a copy of it because I DNF'd it and I gave it to my library. It was Every Perfect Gift by, I can't remember who it was by, but I did not like the book. I couldn't finish the book, so I DNF'd it. I gave it a 1 star rating or a 0.5 star rating. It was just a horrible book. It started out okay, but I am not a fan of the love at first sight type of books, especially when you have a 300-page book. I am not a fan of the insta-love, the love at first sight. I haven't found a book that at least I like that is that love at first sight type thing, other than The Princess Bride. But that's a class. I didn't like it. The characters, hated them. Sorry to the author, but I just didn't enjoy the book one bit. And I found I was in about the middle of the book, and I was just like, I was reading pages, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, what did I just read? And I was like 3 pages away. I was like, oh. So I ended up DNFing it, and that is the first book that I DNF'd this year. Pretty proud of that fact, but I just couldn't do it. So I didn't. And then to try not to put myself in a reading slump after the last book that I read Ghost in the Grand by Jonathan Rand. He is a local author. He lives about 2 hours away from me. And this is actually like 7 stories in one. It is about this group, the Adventure Club group, and about their adventures through the summer before school. Very good. They end up going to Mackinac Island. They end up discovering or rebuilding a submarine. They end up finding treasure. It was just a very good, adventure book, hence Adventure Club. I gave it a 5-star rating because I would give it to anyone to read it. It's not too scary because it is like a ghost story type book, but it is a very good book to read. I very much enjoyed it, so I gave it a 5-star rating. And then going on into the month of February, I read a grand total of 4 books, so let's get started. The first book, there we go. The first book that I read was the Book of Carmichael because I was still kind of in like an almost like reading slump, and I was trying to get myself out of it, so I did read a very short book. It was just over 100 pages, and very good book if you like kind of angels versus demons type of thing, because in this book there is angels in this book, and it is about our main character. Her name is Jessie, and it's very short, so you get like a bunch of information out. Very good. This, I would call it a thriller, because to start out with, when you start with this book, when you first start reading this book, I can't talk. When we first start reading this book, Jessie is running through the woods being chased by an unknown man. And to me, that is the most scary thing in the world because I do live in the woods practically. So that to me is terrifying. I did find this a very good book and a very satisfying ending. So I really, 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 really love this book. 5-star rating, definitely. And then I'm pretty proud of myself. The second book that I read was actually a book that my husband recommended, because little did I know when I married him that he was a Trekkie. I did not know that. I am a Lord of the Rings person. He is a Star Wars, Stargate, Star Trek, Star something, other star stuff. I am not. I am far south of that. So he recommended to me Star Wars Mall Lockdown by Joe Schreiber? By Joe Schreiber. Hopefully sorry about that. But I loved this book. I loved it. Darth Maul is such an awesome character. He's such an awesome anti-hero. If you like Deadpool, you will love Darth Maul. Love this book. I was reading through it so fast, I couldn't get enough of it. And I so wish there was like a second book to this, or a continuation of just Darth Maul itself, or any one of the dark side people. Those dark side lords, Sith lords. I think that's what they're called. Sorry, I am not a Star Wars fan, so I know like nothing other than what the movies are, and those they're painful to watch. But I love this book so much. If this was a movie, I'd watch it. Darth Maul is such a cool character. I can't really say much more about it because it literally will give the story away. So, 5-star rating, definitely. The third book that I read, since I was out of my reading slump, thank God, because I was really afraid I was going to be in a reading slump. Normally when I get in a reading slump, I'm in it for like 6 months. But I followed my own rules, and I read short books, got me out of it. I only had to read 2. So the next book that I read, and I actually read this in a weekend, and this book is over 300 pages, about 330? But it is Here There Be Dragons by James A. Owen, and it is the Chronicles of the Imaginarium Geographica. Hopefully I said that right. Very, very good book. The ending was the best. The best part was like the last 3 pages. The book was really good, but what sold me on it was the last 3 pages. Loved this book. And the fact that I read it in a weekend, I would say it's a middle grade book. Maybe a little older than middle grade, maybe like a young teen, which would be kind of middle grade. But it was a very good book. I loved it. And I do plan on continuing on with this series. I believe there are 8 books in all, so I have 7 to go. I would recommend this to anyone. Any person that just wants to read something quick. I read this in a weekend. It took me like 10 hours maybe. So, definitely 5-star rating. Definitely. The ending is what did it. And then the last book that I read in the months of January and February was The Banished of Muirwood. And I of course listened to it on audio, and that is by Jeff Wheeler. I gave it about a 4-star rating, 4.5 4-star rating. It is the first in a series, and generally I'm not a big fan of the first in the series because there's a lot of unanswered questions. The story itself was very good. I loved all the characters. Characters were very well written, but kind of bittersweet at the end. I really enjoyed it though. I enjoyed listening to it. Of course, the narrator did a fabulous job. Anything that she would narrate, I will probably listen to it no matter what it is. So that is it. That is what I've read in the month of January and February. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and of course, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. But until next time, this is Anna Bibliophobe, signing off. Bye guys! Yes, by the way, that is a mannequin head back there. She's just really creepy.